Now, if you love listening to the Financially Free Journey podcast, then you will love our premium subscription edition of the show. You will get early access, ad-free listening, and bonus content that you will not hear on the regular show. So make sure that you hit the subscription button and join the premium fun. Okay, guys, did you know that creating an income online or adding a new revenue stream to your business has never been easier? I'm pretty sure you know that because we talk about it all the time. Well, have you ever considered taking your knowledge, your skills, and your expertise and really converting it into a course that you can sell online? So I want to introduce you guys to Learn Worlds. Learn Worlds makes it easy to create, host, and sell beautiful online courses that truly have an impact. And with Learn Worlds' intuitive platform and a wealth of resources to educate yourself, you're only a few steps away from building a thriving online business in a booming knowledge economy. So I want you guys to go ahead and click on the link in the show notes, but it's trylearnworlds.com/free. And I want you to start your 30-day free trial today and get that revenue stream started. Today's episode is brought to you by Hellofresh. Do you feel like you are stuck in a dinner rut? Well, with Hellofresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients with mouth-watering seasonal recipes that are delivered right to your door. Skip all of those trips to the grocery store and really count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And you can now enjoy cooking and getting dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. With over 25 recipes to choose from each week, there is something for everyone to enjoy. All recipes are designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts to really ensure deliciousness and simplicity. Now, go to the link in the show notes to get $80 off, including free shipping on HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Financially Free Journey podcast, and I'm your host, Courtney Dyer, and this podcast aims to dispel the seemingly complex topic of personal finances and money management, debt, savings, investing, retirement, and all things small business. And today I am very excited about the guest that I am featuring. Do I have any Dave Ramsey fans out there? And my guess is probably yes, because you're listening to a financial podcast. You're really into making strides to meet your financial goals and eliminate debt and build wealth. Well, today, my co-host is none other than Anthony ONeal, who is one of the co-hosts of the Dave Ramsey Show. Anthony also has a #1 wildly popular YouTube series. It's called The Table with Anthony ONeal. He is a best-selling author, speaker, financial expert, and just a guru all around. And guys, he is a nice guy. He is super passionate about reaching people in a real, relatable, and relevant way, and really helping you get a clear vision on your future so you can win with your life and with your money. And it was such a pleasure being able to chat with Anthony and being able to really get his insights from how he was able to go from at one point being homeless and sleeping in his car to being a self-made millionaire. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy my interview with Anthony ONeal. So Anthony, let's talk to the listeners a little bit about your journey, right? I mean, you have had quite the journey from where you came from to where you're at now. So let's just give them a little bit of a background.
Yeah. So I come from a very humble beginnings. You know, I have 4 loving parents, 2 biological parents, 2 step parents. My biological mom and stepfather live in San Diego, California, with my siblings. And then my father and stepmother live in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And so I come from a very strong Christian faith home, right? Yo, when I tell you, it was a rough life growing up. At least I thought it was. I couldn't go to proms. I couldn't go to school dances. I couldn't go to football games. I couldn't even go to the mall with my people. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm like, what in the world? I couldn't wear Jordans. I had to wear church shoes to school, to school.
Oh, and, my God.
And so, you know, growing up, I had 2 important conversations. Why to not have sex so I can go to heaven, and how to get home from the police. But no one ever taught me how to make money. No one ever taught me how to build wealth. No one taught me the difference between a credit card or a debit card. No one said, hey, here's how you budget. The only thing I was told about money was, hey, when you get paid, give 10% to the church. So, when I graduated high school, I went to college and I thought that I was just a grown man.
Oh, you knew it all at 18, right? More than you know now.
Listen, you couldn't tell me nothing. Like, don't even try to tell me anything because I knew everything. I was so ready to be a grown person, to be out on my own. I was ready to get my first kiss. I'm going to be real on your podcast today. I was ready to get a hug. I was ready to date so many ladies because I call this like, my parents didn't know what to do. They were trying to protect me, and they did a very good job of making sure that I graduated high school pure, knowing the word of God, and just being a good solid man. So I definitely appreciate my parents. But even to today, like if you was to interview my father would definitely say that he kept me in a bubble, which it wasn't good. Because when I got out of that bubble, I just turned into I don't know what I turned into. So to make a long story short, I racked up about $35,000 in debt in a matter of like 4 months of graduating high school. $35K. And I racked it all up.
Make sure.
Yeah, I racked it all up because I was trying to impress the ladies. I was trying to impress my friends. I mean, I was buying flowers. I was buying purses. I was taking, them out to nice dinners. Like now, me and you are around the same age. So I can say this. My very first dinner that I financed was to Red Lobster, and I spent $150.
I mean, they got some good cheese rolls. Like, I'm just saying, It was impressive. Oh, but $150.
150 back in the early 2000s, late 90s and the early 2000s. So, back then, Red Lobster was like going to Ruth Chris Steakhouse today.
Oh, yeah.
We were balling back then. And so, made a bad decision in school. And unfortunately, it cost me my college experience. So when I get kicked out of college, I lose my job. And I lose my job, I lose my income. When I lose my income, I lose my apartment. And so when I lose my apartment, I'm like, well, cool, I'll just go home. Well, my fathers were like, no, you think you're a grown man and a grown man doesn't come home. So I was like, cool, great. I went and called all my friends that I spent all this money on, Not one person offered me a place to lay my head. Not one person offered me a place to get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Not one person said, hey, you can come here and take a shower at least.
You found out who your true friends were real quick.
And I didn't have any because I gained relationships based upon what I did for them, not based upon my character and my integrity as a man. And so at the age of 19, I am homeless, sleeping in the back of my car in San Diego, California, off of Highway 76, literally in Oceanside, California. Some of the lowest moments of my life. I thought about committing suicide. I questioned my relationship with Christianity. I just knew no one loved me. I didn't have any real friends, and I was blaming everyone else but myself. So I quickly realized during that season that I couldn't blame someone else. I had to blame myself. That I am the reason for where I'm at. That the caliber of my present was determined by the caliber of the decisions that I made in my past. And I made some horrible decisions. And so I said, I'm going to switch it. I'm going to make better decisions today moving forward so that I can change the caliber of my future. Now, let me keep it a stack with you on your podcast. I haven't made all the right decisions. I'm human, okay? But I've made better decisions today as a 37-year-old man. And so the very first decision that I made was just, again, not trying to be too spiritual on your show, but the very first decision that I made for me personally was to get back to my Christian walk, and just start really practicing my Christianity journey. Then the second decision was I had to go home and confront my fathers. I'm like, yo, I'm not a grown man. I'm a young man who's willing to learn from grown men. So teach me how to do this thing correctly. And then 3, I got a job. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to work. And that's what my fathers told me. They said a man is a provider, he is a protector, and he is a priest of his home. You don't have time to be trying to impress no woman and date no woman because you can't even provide for yourself.
Yeah.
You need to get a job and get out of debt and start really working towards providing for yourself. You have 1 year in my house. So just to wrap it up, my story, my background, it took me about 6 months to really get back out on my own. It took me about maybe 5 years to pay off all the debt. Today I'm debt free. living in my dream home, driving my dream car, traveling around the world, helping people, specifically young people, like in their 20s and 30s. How do we avoid debt? How do we pay off our debt? How do we start building true and lasting wealth? And how do we really identify what does success mean for me, the individual? Not what does the world say is successful, but for Anthony ONeal, what does that mean, and how do I start working towards that?
Well, it's that external pressure, right, from society, specifically in America, where the majority of the listeners are located. We have this real cultural pressure to keep up with the Joneses. We've all heard about lifestyle inflation. And as a young man at 19, that hit you square in the face. You hadn't been prepared for it. But the sad truth, Anthony, is that most of us are not, because financial education is not a standard nationwide. It's only mandated in 21 states to have any type of financial education in our public school system. So we go out into the world ill-equipped to be able to make these lifelong impacting decisions, right? Like student loan debt, which I know you're huge on. I mean, you're never getting away from ugly Sally Mae. Even when you die, even when you file bankruptcy, she's not leaving your side. So, it's just we become so ill-equipped as adults. And so, I want some more of your thoughts on that, because I have listened to the table, and I know you have some very deep and passionate thoughts about that topic.
Yeah, when it comes to education, we got to start training our young people as early as in, I believe, elementary. Now, I know people saying elementary school. Absolutely. One of my homegirls has a school, an elementary school here in Nashville, Tennessee. And I went down to just read the books, read some books to her kids, right? When I walked into her campus, it's a little charter school, it's a little private school, and she has about maybe 50 kids. Well, when I walked down a hallway, I saw a lot of pictures of elementary kids, fourth, fifth graders, right? Going on college trips. And I'm like, what is a fourth and fifth grader doing college tours? What are you doing over here? Like, are these kids like super, super smart? She was like, no. She said, we got to start exposing our kids, dropping the image. A kid is most impressionable from 1 until 10 years old. And as much positive images we can put inside of their mind, those images will carry them on until they're about 23, 24 years old. And I'm like, wow. So all of our kids go into middle school understanding that if they want to go to that big place that they visited a year ago, 2 years ago, that they have to make good grades. When they get into high school, if they want to go off to college, that they now understand what that big place was when they went there a few years ago, then I got to get a 4.0 if I want to get a scholarship and I want to go to Harvard, Yale, or to a local in-state school. They understand because of what was put inside of them. So when we talk about financial literacy, isn't it funny that school and college education is training us to get a job? Well, why do we need a job? To get money to pay for our bills to live. So they're training us to get a job, but not training us to do what the job is designed to do, give us money. So go get the job, but we don't want you to be good with the money. We want you to be good on the job, but we don't care if you're good with what the job produces, which is income. And so I agree with you that I believe that all of our states need to make it mandatory. I actually have a high school curriculum with Random Solutions that I'm in with me, Dave Ramsey, and Ken Coleman, where we're teaching the 5 foundations in personal finances. And we've helped about 3 million students currently right now. Actually, I think it's right around 5. But there's millions more of young people who need this education. Because I remember sitting in the back of my auditorium when a college guy came in and said, hey, if you haven't filled out, the college application, then you're late. This is my second semester, my senior year. And I'm like, well, wait, what do you mean I'm late? The counselor doesn't have time to tell me. My parents don't know because they never went to school themselves. So I go home and I'm emotional, like, Mom and Dad, what am I going to do? You didn't tell me. My counselor didn't tell me. And again, it just starts from middle school, which is why I wrote the book called Debt Free Degree, that we got to help and we got to start teaching our young people early on. So inside of my book, I literally give the plan from 7th grade like from sixth grade all the way through college. And this is what you need to be doing every year, every semester. Here are the classes every summer. Here's your college resume, because we've got to start giving this information to our younger people then. And then also for us who have student loans, I wrote another book that coincides with that, which I'm gonna teach you how to pay off your student loans. Because you're probably listening to this and you're probably in your late 20s and 30s. You're like, well, dang, Anthony, I got about $100,000 in student loans.
Yeah,
what do I do? And I'm with you. I totally understand. So I wrote a book called Destroy Your Student Loan Debt too. And they can go to anthonyoneal.com to get both of those. Because if you have a fifth grader, a third grader right now, 5-year-old, go get the book Debt-Free Degree and start getting the education on now so you can know what you can start doing. And I'll say this and shut up because, I can talk. I love talking.
I love it. That's what you're here for. Give us your knowledge.
My little nieces and nephews are very well known on YouTube. Belief in Fatherhood. They're called the Chocolate Babies. And one of our videos went viral about 2 years ago, or one of their videos that I was in. And I spent enough time. I took my nieces and nephews to Dairy Queen, and I gave them each $5. And I said, hey, you got to pay for your ice cream. So the guy, I said, what do you want? And they started making all these ice creams. I want this. I want that scoop. I want this scoop. I want that. I want this. And so I already knew they're going to go over the money. So I was going to pay for it, but I had to teach them a lesson. So when we got to the cash register, my little one, Theo, his ice cream came up to like $7.32. And I was like, you don't have enough money. It was like, what do you mean? I said, you can't get it. You don't have enough money. I gave you $5. And it was like, and he started crying. I said, gotta throw it away. I'm so sorry. So we got to throw it. He was like, throw it away. And so I already told the guy what I was doing. So I had already paid for the ice cream because I really didn't make him throw it away. But I wanted to make sure that he knew he was going to pay for it. So I had to teach them, hey, you have $5. You got to choose and live below your means. So here's what you got to do. And what was so funny is now every time they go shopping, the very first question is that they ask, well, how much is it? And then I love that. Mom and dad, how much money do I have? And it's the simple stuff. It's just giving them the basic stuff. If our young people, if we can teach our kids how to dance, give them the latest lyrics to these hip hop and country and R&B songs, and we can teach our young people how to understand the basics of finances.
Well, and I just want to reiterate, the first takeaway for the listeners here is if you're a mom or dad, take your kid to Dairy Queen, prepay for the ice cream, make them throw it away, okay? Because they are never going to forget that experience. But I love that, Anthony, honestly, because it's the illustration. And as you mentioned previously, when are we the most impressionable? It's when we are young. And that seems to be when we never talk. It's like they're not old enough to understand. Children are so intelligent. They are sponges. They absolutely understand. And doing it in an illustration, like your example, whatever works for your kids, it has to be done because it's not going to happen in the school system. It is up to you. If you love the children, you could be an aunt, an uncle, a mom or dad. You could be a family friend, but it's up to us to educate the next generation to not be in debt like we are. And that takes me to the millennial generation, our generation, Anthony. What's up with us? I mean, what is up with us in debt? I need your take on this.
A lot of people ask me this question, man. I'm a millennial, and gratefully, I'm not in debt anymore. But when I was in debt, I think we really got to step back and look at the root of why we have so much debt. Number one is the lack of financial education. Okay. Number two is no one really talked to us and told us exactly what we're signing up for when it came to student loans. They just said, hey, if you didn't get a scholarship and grant, then hey, just take out student loans. And student loans are good because you're going to go to college get your dream job. And you can pay it back within 3 years. That's how they sell student loans. And then that's number two. Then number three is, let's just be honest. Some people may not like this when I say this, but we're in debt because we're trying to please culture rather than please ourselves.
Yeah.
And so But let's also call this out.
So let's take a moment to thank this episode's sponsor, Focus. Now, Focus is a sparkling water with a little spark, guys. It's delicious, it's health conscious, and it's thoughtfully caffeinated sparkling water. It's infused with a boost of natural tea caffeine, and the balance of the L-theanine can really get you that clean energy that you want without the sugar and the calories, and most importantly, the crash. So you gotta ditch the sugary sodas and the energy drinks that are really overloaded with the sugar and ingredients that you don't know what they are or even how to pronounce them. The natural caffeine derived from tea gives you the same boost as an 8-ounce cup of coffee, but it's refreshing and it's thirst quenching. And let's just get it straight. I mean, our body needs water, but it doesn't have to be boring. The company has a reverse osmosis water, and it's lightly infused with crisp carbonation to really refresh and hydrate you without the sugar or the guilt. So make sure that you go and you check out. They've got a wide range of flavors. They've got blood orange, mixed berry, cherry, cola, crisp apple, root beer, grapefruit, and I mean, the list goes on and on. It sounds really delicious. I want one right now. I want you to check out the link in the show notes. It's drinkfocus.com, but it's drink phocus.com, and use the code FREEDOM to get 20% off on your order of Focus sparkling water.
I believe the millennial generation, our generation, is the smartest and wisest generation. We have the most entrepreneurs in our bracket as far as who was in this age. We really do desire to work for ourselves. Like we want to work that makes us happy. We want to feel like we're contributing to America, not just have a job, just to have a job to pay bills. It's like we want to be a part of something. And so I think, the millennial generation, we just really got to step back and just understand, okay, where are we going for one? What's our personal definition of success? And then from there, there's like 3 categories that I really say we need to focus on. Is our network, who's around us, who's speaking into our lives, whose lives are we speaking into? And here's a good one. Who are we dating? Okay. Because who we're dating tends to impact our net worth. And that's the number 2 in is, what debt are you eliminating? What are you spending money on? And I know that my relationships, me trying to date someone, impacted and slowed down my net worth. And so if we can get around the right network of people, start really understanding what net worth is and what we're doing with our finances, how we're eliminating debt, how we're building wealth, how we're starting businesses, stuff like that. And then what are we putting inside our minds? It's so funny how we know what happened on the latest reality show on what's the show? Bachelor show. And how then we got a new bachelor in. The first Black bachelor of the show. Like we know all that stuff, but we don't know how to budget. You know what I'm saying? We don't know when's the last time we just spent $10. We know all the stuff that's happening on TV, but we don't know nothing about our money. We don't, well, I think I got like $200 in the bank because I just got paid and I did that. No, you need to know to the penny. How much money do you have in your bank? You need to know to the penny, where is your money going? Not wondering where your money is going. And so I think this millennial generation, we're so free and we don't really have vision when it comes to our money. And that's why we're in debt. And so for me, that's one thing I'm really trying to help. The average millennial right now, net worth is right around $8,000 to $12,000. That's sad.
Wow. Wow. The highest educated generation in the history of our country with an average net worth of around $8,000.
Yes. That's sad. I mean, that's sad. We should be as educated as we are and as entrepreneurial as we are. We should have no debt. We should be starting businesses, owning homes. But right now, the average millennial that's graduating, actually it's the next generation after us that's graduating today. But this generation that's graduating, they're going home. They're not going in and getting an apartment. They're not even getting their dream jobs of why they went to school. They're going home because they're saddled with student loan debt. The average person would graduate about $38,000, right? But then 50 of these young people would graduate with a mortgage payment, but don't have any. Graduate with
it's insane.
Insane.
Well, and what a trick is student loans when the government's willing to lend you, some people potentially $100,000 or more in unsecured debt, but you can't even buy a car or get a credit card without your parents, co-signing, right? Till you're like 25, a lot of times till you're about 30 years old, people are starting to able to do that on their own. It shows you that's not for no reason because the government's generous. It's because they know they've got you locked in for life. They've now made you a cash flowing asset for the banks and for the governments and for Miss Sally Mae, right? Instead of for ourselves.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny. You said it. And I even let's go deeper. I'm 18 years old. I can sign for $100,000, but I can't sign for a pack of beer that costs me $10.
Right. I mean, you're not trustworthy enough to do that, but you can take on $100,000 in debt. You're trustworthy enough to make that decision.
I mean, the government to me is probably one of the dumbest things in the world. They're just not smart when it comes to money.
Well, look, they're not balancing their budget. They're not making every dollar count.
Now.
So
let's be real. I respect our presidents and I respect the Congress, but like when it comes to money, we can't trust them. Like it's
right.
We can't. And so that's one of the main things that I'm really trying to teach is, let's eliminate the debt. Let's avoid student loans. Let's pay off student loans if we have them. And let's go out there and go after our dreams. It feels so good to wake up and the only thing I have to worry about is my mortgage, not a car note, not credit card bills, not student loan bills. I can wake up on the first of the month, pay my mortgage, and the rest of the month, I'm only having to pay my utilities and my food and my insurance bills. Outside of that, I'm telling my money how to go out there, and get married, have some kids, tell your kids to have some more kids. As a matter of fact, let's get some cousins, let's get some triplets in there. And that's called compound interest. That's when I'm telling my money to go duplicate, to go make me more money. And that is something that I really want to see more from this millennial generation is let's eliminate the debt and then let's go let our money and help our money make more money for us. So while we're sleeping, we're getting money. Let's go start some more businesses. Let's go employ some of our friends and impact this community and the culture and the world. But we can't do that if we're saddled with debt. And so
absolutely.
That's my heart.
I mean, that was straight facts, right? I mean, I'm just saying it's so true because again, how freeing is the feeling to say, you know what? My absolute necessities are so minimum that when something like a pandemic happens, for example, I am not so stressed that it's like, I'm not going to be able to feed my family. I'm not going to be able to keep the lights on because you're so over leveraged. It's such a freeing feeling to move from the present to the future. And, I talk about this a lot on my show, Anthony, is retirement is such an outdated term, right? It's something that the baby boomer generation really, they had pension plans. They were depending on Social Security. So they had essentially paychecks in retirement. Now we're moving into more than 80% of the millennial and Gen Z, the working generation, are having to create that cash flow for themselves. So instead of talking about retirement, we're talking about financial freedom. And that can happen at any age. It's simply a number. It's not an age. And it's such an outdated concept, right?
Let's go.
Yeah.
You talking my number. I like that. I hate the word retirement. People are like, well, we ain't going to retire. I don't know.
Never?
Yeah. I mean, now, am I working towards financial freedom? Am I working towards options? Am I working towards financial peace? Absolutely. And I can accomplish that by 40. And all that is doing is allowing me to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, with who I want to do it, how I want to do it. And so it's like, once you get to that point, you could be 40, you could be 80. But I love how you said that retirement is outdated. I honestly don't like the word retirement.
No, it has a negative connotation, right? A lot of people are like, I don't ever want to retire. I don't want to feel useless. Well, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, as you said, financial peace and work optional, right? I want to become work optional. And if you have passion for what you do, then keep doing it. But if you have passion for drinking, mojitos on the beach, then you can go do that too, right? Like that's what we're working towards. And so, I know that you feel the same way, but it is such a outdated term that a lot of people are like, I don't want to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's talk about the table real quick. I have binge watched so many of your videos on YouTube. I'm a YouTube junkie and I love the content that you put out. And so if the listeners haven't already started following you, I want them to know about your show and what you're talking about.
Yes. So at the table, we're having a real relevant and relatable conversation around really helping young people and all people really, but I have a heart for the 20s and 30s to really understand this is how you become successful. You be hyper intentional around the areas of your network, around your net worth, which is money, around what are you putting inside your mind. And then the foundation of it is I do come from a Christian perspective. And so that's really all we're doing, but it's real, and some people don't like it because I'm not trying to be politically correct. I'm not trying to be safe. There are some people who may disagree with some of the things that I say, and some people may hear something that I say that they may feel offended by. But one thing I've learned is I have to be respectfully the authentic Anthony ONeal. And so nothing's really off tables at the table. If you come to the table, we're going to have an authentic conversation. And sometimes I allow my guests to ask me a question, and I think they're shocked by my answer sometimes. And so
like, that's not what I expected.
Right. So I'm like, but hey, at the table, I have to keep it real. And so from there, it's a great conversation. But everything on the show is to help young people build their network, to help young people get the quality relationships around them. And I'm very big on that. I mean, as a single man, I'm very intentional about, okay, who am I dating? Or who am I allowed to speak into my life? I'm very big on therapy. I'm actually going to do a show around with therapists and how to do that. And so that's what we're doing at the table. And it's, like I said, very real, very raw. I get loud sometimes, but I promise you, every show, you'll walk away knowing me better, and you'll walk away learning something that you can apply to your life today.
Anthony, you don't get loud, you get passionate.
I like that.
There's a total difference, right?
Yes, I like that. You're absolutely
I was
right.
just watching the videos that you just put out with the bougie banker.
Yes.
And I loved the conversation you guys had. I mean, again, very authentic. Her talking about she was driving her, dream car. And then, it was like $850 a month when it was all said and done. And to have a real and authentic conversation and talk about things that are vulnerable, that puts us in where we feel like people may view us in a bad light, right? Those are the conversations the listeners need to hear, because we're not alone. Everybody is on this path. We're all at different spots, but we're trying to get to that same goal. And the more open and honest we can talk about money, the better off everyone's going to be. So your show is so inspirational. I just want the listeners to know, it gets passionate and it's very real, very vulnerable, but that's what we need to make a change, not hyper curated perfection.
Absolutely. No, you talking good. I appreciate you. And thank you for allowing me to come on your show and just share, man. You are amazing. I need to tell my team they need to get you on my show and just have a real conversation over there.
I'm there. You tell me when, I'm coming. And again, you never know what'll come out of my mouth, Anthony. I'll just put that up front. So thank you so much for coming on today. And where else can the listeners find you? We've got AnthonyONeal.com.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere else you want them to come check you out?
That's the best place because if you go to AnthonyONeal.com, you'll find all my social media accounts there. You'll find my show there, my podcast link. And then what I also love about the new route that we're going over here at Ramsey Solutions, the speakers group, is now all of our websites are connected. So when you go to AnthonyONeal.com, let's say you're looking for your dream career. Well, that's not my expertise, but it is my counterparts, King Coleman's expertise. So when you go to my website, you'll see all of our websites, from Dave Ramsey's to Christy Wright's, who's helping young ladies start businesses, to Ken Coleman, who's talking about here's how you get your job. Then if you got your dream job, if you got your business, you're trying to learn what to do better with your money, then you rock with me and Dave Ramsey and Rachel Cruz. So it's like when you go to my website, you go to that website and you can get every aspect of your life covered and encouraged. So go there, start there, dive in, connect with me on my social media accounts, and I promise you, I will not let you down.
I love it. I will link it in the show notes and the description of this episode as well, guys. So make sure that you go to AnthonyONeal.com. Make sure you check them out. The table on YouTube, I'll link that as well, because some amazing episodes, so inspirational. And again, thank you so much for joining today. And if you're not already, follow us on Instagram and TikTok. It's Financially Free Journey. And I share daily tips and motivation to help you on your journey to financial freedom. Until next time.